Mark Fabrizio is with North American Breweries. The Genesee Brewing Company is preparing to ship 12 giant fermentation tanks from Albany to Rochester, and they can't do it on the highways, so they're using what it was originally intended for, the Erie Canal, to transport in this 225-mile journey to, which really is a 6,000-mile journey. It started in Canada, but 225 miles on the canal. A 20-foot by 60-foot tall tank will pass through Utica, looks like on the 15th, so coming up on Monday, and Mark is on the line right now. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
I'm glad we got to. This is really cool, and it's going to be quite a sight when we see this coming down the Erie Canal.
Yeah, this is this is one of those unique opportunities in my career and really in New York right now, where we're modernizing our 139-year-old brewery, and to do that, we're going to use the nearly 200-year-old Erie Canal to deliver one of the really key components of that modernization, which are these fermenters. So,
give us an idea of the how big this tank really is.
Yeah, so for brewers like myself, we speak in barrels, but that doesn't mean much to most folks. But one of these tanks, we call them 4-brew tanks, holds about 27,500 cases of beer, or 660,000 ounces, 12-ounce servings, so bottles of beer, if you will.
Wow.
To give you an idea of the magnitude, and there's 12 of them.
So it's going to arrive in Rochester on the 18th. Is it going to be difficult to get it from the canal to your brewery?
That's always the last leg of this trip is always one of the most tricky ones.
Yeah.
The good news is it's only about 6 or so miles away from the brewery where we're going to offload them from the canal.
Oh, okay.
They will actually travel by truck really late at night in order to avoid any upsetting of traffic and the like. So they'll travel 2 per day. We'll set them in place each day in the morning. And then the trucks go back and get ready for the next day.
Now, this is, we're saying here that it's a $40 million project, and it's going to end up creating one of the most advanced brewing systems in the world. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so it's actually the first of a 2-part project called the Eco Brewery District. This is a privately funded part of the project designed to modernize our brewery, make us more efficient, reduce our environmental impact by reducing water and energy consumption. We're basically building an entirely new brewery on our site, where we've been brewing beer for almost 140 years.
Wow.
And again, these tanks going up will probably be the first most visible aspect of that project.
Wow. That's really incredible. So what time do you know that? Do you have any idea on May 15th that it'll be passing through? Because it's going to go down through the valley, down through the Little Falls locks, and then into Herkimer and Schuyler, and then up into Utica. That should all happen on the 15th. Any idea on time?
Not yet, but one of the things that we're trying to manage very closely is that information. As it becomes solidified, we want to get it out for everybody to be able to be aware, so that folks can head down to the canal, whether it's on their own or at an establishment that's along the canal, and they can folks can raise a glass and toast the tanks as they go by. We actually have a tag, hashtag Toast the Tanks, where people can post pictures to social media as they go down. The challenge right now is that the trip takes between 6 and 8 days, and unfortunately, with all the rain here in western New York, the canal is actually above normal operating stage, so our tanks are sitting on barges in Albany, waiting for the clearance to start moving. So we'll have to update folks as the time becomes a little bit more solidified.
So is it possible it won't be on the 15th? It might be after that.
It could. Again, at this point, the actual schedule is a little bit in flux because we don't have the green light to actually start coming down the canal just yet.
All right. Very interesting.
They're trying to run water out.
Hey, by the way, I had picked up in Albany the Dell's lemonade, which is, I worked in Providence, so I'm familiar with Dell's lemonade, frozen Italian ice concoction. But Narragansett Beer has teamed up with Dell's, and it looks like you guys have at least brewed it or bottled it for Narragansett. Is that true?
Yeah, so Narragansett's one of our partners that we've worked with for some time now. And we brew some of their beer for them.
All right, we found that to be kind of cool. A shandy, which you don't find everywhere these
days.
So, all right, Mark, very interesting. And of course, we're big Saranac people here, and I know after the fire, you guys stepped up, and it shows just the type of camaraderie we have in the beer business in New York State. Pretty awesome.
Absolutely, especially in Western New York.
Yeah. All right, Mark, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right,
have a good morning.
We'll be looking for that coming down the canal. I'm excited.